Former President Donald Trump surrendered before a federal courthouse in Miami to face charges under the Espionage Act for illegal possession and manhandling of classified information, including U.S. nuclear capabilities, sensitive communication with foreign leaders, and nuclear proficiency of an unnamed foreign country. He was taken into custody by U.S. Marshals but was released immediately after he pleaded not guilty. CNN's Caitlin Polans is now joining us from Miami. Caitlin, we appreciate you taking out the time and joining us here. This is unprecedented and historic in many ways. Talk to us about how did the indictment unfold and how damning are these charges?
Well, how damning the charges are, that's going to be a question for a jury from the Southern District of Florida, so South Florida, around Miami. And those people will be the people hearing the evidence and deciding whether Donald Trump is guilty of the crimes he's accused of. But at this stage, we have a 44-page document laying out much of the evidence that the Justice Department believes backs up their case. And it is extremely detailed. There are photographs of boxes that prosecutors say contain classified material at Donald Trump's resort in South Florida, Mar-a-Lago, after he left the presidency. And those boxes, there are some photos showing them spilled on the floor. They also have testimony from others who worked for Trump, even a defense lawyer of his, speaking about how he believed that Donald Trump was trying to get rid of the boxes, and that there were several instances that the Justice Department could find where, as they were trying to get Trump to turn these documents over back to them after he left the presidency, that he took steps not to do that, to hide them, essentially, or to make sure the Justice Department didn't find out what he has. Now, the reason that this is a crime is because you can be the former president of the United States, but classified and national security records, that is something it is against the law to have in an unsecured location outside the protection of the U.S. government. And that is what Trump is accused of doing.
Oh, absolutely. I want to understand what happens from here on. Donald Trump has pled not guilty. So what happens next now?
Well, now they're going to be deciding on when the trial takes place. And one big question there is how close it will be to the election. That might not be something the judge considers, but it's something we are all watching to see. And then the next thing that happens as we're waiting and on that road toward a federal trial in the system here in Florida with a jury here, the thing we will be seeing is arguments. Arguments from Donald Trump's team, arguments from the Justice Department, the Office of Special Counsel. Those are the prosecutors who brought this case. They're going to be arguing about what evidence can be presented at the trial and some of the law, how it can be applied, and exactly how strong the Justice Department's case may be at that stage.
You know, all eyes are how does this impact as far as 2024 elections are concerned. I want to understand, how does this indictment actually prevent the former president from campaigning or even taking office?
Well, there's no indication that that is the case. And there is no indication that anything in the law would allow him to be blocked from holding office if he were to be convicted of these charges, 37 different charges that he's facing. But one of the things to remember about this is that these are very serious charges. They are national security charges, and they are the sort of things that voters may want to consider. Is this the type of person with these accusations and evidence being built against him that they would want to hold higher office and be the commander-in-chief of the U.S. military? Again, many of these are military documents, things related to foreign countries, nuclear information about the United States and about other countries. And so there's a lot of questions there that people will have to look at. But the other question, too, is if Donald Trump were to be convicted of these charges, will he be sentenced to time in prison? Even if he were to be elected again as president, what happens then? These are the type of charges that people do receive prison sentences for when they're convicted of them.
True. Caitlin, lastly, I also want to understand once again, how will this actually impact the 2024 race? More importantly, how are Donald Trump's political opponents now going to use this against him?
Well, some are already, and we are already seeing some members of the Republican Party who are running for president, including his own running mate, his vice president during his time in office, Mike Pence, coming out and essentially distancing himself from Trump as they're both now on the campaign trail officially. So there will be a lot of politics around this, and Donald Trump has already tried to make these moments in court, which are strictly legal proceedings with much formality of the justice system and the federal judiciary around them. He's already making them into campaign events. There were protesters here on the ground surrounding the federal courthouse, supporters of Donald Trump, especially yesterday as the proceedings were going on inside. And then Trump took the opportunity in Miami to go visit a fairly famous restaurant here to make an appearance with his co-defendant to talk to whom he believed were supporters that would be there, and then gave a speech last night.
Okay, Caitlin, we'll have to leave that conversation there. Appreciate you joining us with all those details. We'll really have to see how all of this